Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Aperture and Microsoft Edge Tips and Tricks session. I'm Eleanor Wart, and I'm a program manager on the Aperture team.
Hello, my name is Wayne Tipton, and I'm a support engineer for Microsoft.
Here's what we'd like to cover in the next 20 minutes or so. First, we'll let you know what Aperture is and the scope of our program. Then we'll cover tips and tricks for deploying Microsoft Edge, and then conclude with how you can get started. Before we dive in, I wanted to share a little bit about Aperture. We launched 2 years ago with the promise that we would help customers fix apps that didn't work after upgrading to Windows 10 or Office 365 Pro Plus. We did this because Microsoft is committed to helping you make sure all of your business-critical apps work on the latest version of our technology. Our customers come to us believing that about 6% of their applications will have compatibility issues. Since our program inception, we've evaluated more than 750,000 apps, and in reality, less than 1/3% of them actually require remediation. In other words, 99.7% of your apps will work with the latest versions of our software. This is because Microsoft products are built with application compatibility in mind. For that small percentage of apps that do have issues, our dedicated team of App Compat experts will guide you through the remediation process from start to finish. Aperture is included as part of your eligible subscription at no additional cost. We work directly with you to troubleshoot and find the root cause of an application issue, then determine how to fix it. If it's an issue with a product like Windows or Office, we work with Microsoft product teams to fix it. In some cases, there are problems with third-party apps where we work directly with the software vendor to fix your issue. Or it might be an issue with your line of business application, so we help you fix your code or provide other mitigations. Our goal is to leave your business in a better state after you work with our team. This includes helping you to make your apps future-proof and resilient to subsequent product updates using remediations that don't compromise the integrity of your application security. As a quick reminder, Aperture is available for eligible Microsoft 365 or Windows 10 plans of 150 plus licenses. Since launching, we've added promises to help ensure app compatibility for Microsoft Edge, Windows Virtual Desktop, and most recently, Windows 10 on ARM64 devices. For Windows 10 and Microsoft 365 apps, compat shimming and settings changes are a common fix for customer issues. In this case, we work with you to create a shim or a small library where we modify the parameters that are getting passed to the API to resolve compatibility issues. For Microsoft Edge, IE mode makes it easy to use all the sites your organization needs in a single browser. Microsoft Edge uses the integrated Chromium engine for modern sites and the Trident MS-HTML engine from IE11 for legacy sites. We'll dive deeper into Microsoft Edge with Wayne in just a moment. Windows 10 Enterprise Multi-Session enables multiple concurrent interactive sessions and is supported exclusively in Windows Virtual Desktop, also known as WVD. Customers have faced issues with moving applications currently hosted in an on-premise remote desktop session environment to Windows 10 Multi-Session on WVD because they are hard-coded to work only on server OS. To resolve this issue, Aperture engineers work to provide guidance for either updating the application code or updating the installer to get the application working on WVD. For customers deploying Windows 10 on ARM devices, such as the Surface Pro X, we now offer our compatibility promise to them. PCs have traditionally been powered by x86 processors, but there's a growing ecosystem of PCs powered by ARM-based processors. The ARM architecture enables PCs to have additional benefits such as all-day battery life and built-in LTE cellular connectivity. 32-bit apps that don't rely on our drivers will just work using x86 emulation on ARM devices, and the 64-bit emulation feature is currently available under the Windows Insider Preview. In the last few months, we've worked closely with many ISVs that have kernel drivers in their applications and helped them create ARM native drivers. Most ISVs had very little difficulty in porting their drivers to ARM64 with the help of Aperture engineers addressing any technical blockers they faced. Now let's take a step back and chat with Wayne, who is one of our Aperture Microsoft Edge support engineers. Welcome, Wayne.
Hello, Eleanor. Thanks for having me.
So a year ago, we launched Microsoft Edge, which is built on the Chromium engine. Can you tell me a little bit about the benefits?
Sure. A few of the benefits include Microsoft Edge being built on Chromium open source project, and Microsoft Edge is backed by Microsoft Security and Innovation. Microsoft Edge runs legacy and modern apps in the same browser using their new dual engine browser, which means that you don't have to switch back and forth between Microsoft Edge and IE to get your work done. Microsoft Edge is also more secure than Google Chrome for businesses on Windows 10 because it blocks more phishing and malware.
So Microsoft Edge is built on the Chromium engine with legacy apps in mind. And because of this, we're finding that customers are excited to consolidate and move to Microsoft Edge, which is great. So Wayne, based on your experience as a Microsoft support engineer, what tips or tricks do you have for customers to ensure a successful migration?
Well, the good news is the majority of apps and sites will work on Microsoft Edge. We also have tools available for customers to inventory apps and let them know which sites may need to use built-in compatibility features before starting their migration to Microsoft Edge. With any migration, it's important to do inventory of the sites and apps in your environment. Specifically, we have tools like Enterprise Site Discovery, which allows customers to inventory their sites and apps, then identify any legacy technologies such as ActiveX controls or Silverlight. With this information, you can then plan the best way to implement those sites to work in Microsoft Edge. These tools collect metadata about how sites are being used in your organization. The end result, which you can see here, is an actionable report where you gain insights for how to best implement Microsoft Edge browser in your organization. In this example, we've identified a few potential issues with Microsoft Edge that may need additional configurations such as IE mode.
Wow, it's great to see that you get a report that shows you actionable feedback. You mentioned some sites may need to use IE mode. Could you elaborate on what that is and why someone would need to use it?
Sure, IE mode enables legacy Internet Explorer websites to be displayed within Microsoft Edge browser. Modern browsers don't support legacy technology like ActiveX controls. Microsoft is aware that many of our customers are still dependent on these controls for their business needs. Microsoft wants to ensure our customers can take advantage of modern browser features while still being able to use those legacy sites and apps. So we've brought Internet Explorer into Microsoft Edge as IE mode. Now users don't have to go back and forth between Edge and IE.
It's definitely exciting to see the product evolution. But what if a customer has really old sites that were dependent on dock mode in IE?
That's a great question. The good news is that we retain backwards compatibility by keeping older features like the various dock modes available on Microsoft Edge in IE mode.
It's definitely fantastic that we're continuing to support those longtime IE users. What if a customer begins their Microsoft Edge migration without doing an inventory first?
Fortunately, it's quite easy to understand which sites need to use IE mode after customers have already started evaluating Microsoft Edge in their environment, because customers will immediately see symptoms that their site isn't working. You'll know when things are broken because they won't look right or work right. Now, I don't recommend this, but I had a customer that did not perform an inventory before migrating and made Microsoft Edge the default browser for every user. As you can imagine, their help desk was flooded with calls about a few sites that weren't working properly. Most sites did work, and for those sites that had issues, I recommended using the Open in IE mode feature. The great thing about this feature is it allows you to quickly reload the site and validate if the issue can be resolved. Eleanor, let me show you how the Open in IE mode feature works. First, you'll need to enable some Microsoft Edge policies. To do that, you'll need to go to your Group Policy Editor and then go to Microsoft Edge Group Policy folder and enable Allow Internet Explorer Mode Testing, configure Internet Explorer integration, and configure Enterprise Mode Siteless. Enabling these will allow us to open the sites in Internet Explorer mode within the Microsoft Edge browser. From here, we can see that the Silverlight site isn't rendering properly in Microsoft Edge. This is because it's not supported natively. Now, this would be a good time to try reloading the site in IE mode. So if I go to the top right of the screen and select the three dots, Then I go down to select More Tools, then select Open Sites in Internet Explorer mode. Now you can see that the Silverlight site renders correctly and is working as expected. After validating this, we can go to the site list and add the appropriate URLs to ensure it opens in IE mode for all users.
Wow, that was really simple. Thanks for showing us that feature. We know there can be some authentication issues for sites using IE mode. How do customers resolve this?
With Microsoft Edge being a dual engine browser, there's a lot of authentication communication going on between the browsers. One of the things that simplifies this is identifying those authentication sites and listing them as neutral. Listing a site as neutral means that it can pass cookies and authentication credentials freely between Microsoft Edge and IE mode. When you don't have neutral sites identified, the communication between Microsoft Edge and IE mode can break. I like to show you how to remediate authentication issues using neutral sites. One example you may see is that you're prompted for your credentials multiple times after you've already logged onto your corporate network. We're trying to reach portal.azure.com, which we've set up to simulate a legacy site for the demo. We get to the authentication prompt. We put in our email and password. Then you can see that the site breaks.
Yeah, we can definitely see that it's cycling between the portal and the authentication page.
To fix this, we just need to identify the authentication servers, and this is easily done in Microsoft Edge. We can use the netlog tool in Microsoft Edge to capture network traffic. We do this because the tool lets us see all the information that the website is requesting from servers. One or more of those servers are authentication servers. Before we navigate to netlog, we want to clear our cache to make sure we're capturing the issue correctly. Now, to get to netlog, you navigate to edge colon / net export, and then click Start Logging to Disk. Then you would open a new tab and begin to reproduce the issue. Now we'll navigate back and stop the log capture. At this point, we can now open Netlog Viewer. Once we have Netlog open, go to the event tabs on the left, and you can also expand the columns to see the available data. First, we're looking for the URL from portal.azure.com, which is the site where we started our reproduction. To find this easier, we can search for portal.azure.com in the search bar at the top. Once we find that, then we're looking for the authentication server URL that follows the failure entry. Usually, these are easy to identify because they're named something simple like login.microsoftonline.com. Sometimes you may not know which site is your authentication server, but that's okay because we can validate those sites that we're not sure about by adding them to the site list and testing them. There may be multiple authentication servers. In our case, we have login.microsoftonline.com and login.live.com. So we'll add both of these sites as neutral. From here, we go to our site list and add login.microsoftonline.com and login.live.com as neutral sites. You'll notice in Enterprise Mode Site List Manager that a neutral site is referred to as none. Then save. And now we'll go force the site list update. Now you can see that the sites are listed as neutral. And it's always a good practice to clear the browser cache. Now we go back and validate that we can reach portal.azure.com and can log in without any issues.
Wayne, thank you so much for walking us through these Microsoft Edge tips and tricks. It's been really helpful, and we hope that customers can utilize some of these steps to help with their Microsoft Edge deployment.
Thank you. My pleasure, Eleanor.
If you're experiencing deployment issues with Microsoft Edge, FastTrack offers assistance. FastTrack is your advisor to help you deploy Microsoft 365. It's an ongoing benefit for customers with 150 or more licenses of eligible Microsoft 365 plans. FastTrack assists with workloads across the Microsoft 365 suite, including Windows 10, Microsoft 365, and as we've been talking about, Microsoft Edge. In addition to the Aperture service, FastTrack also helps you configure identity, security, compliance, and cloud management, enabling Microsoft Teams, and for customers with more than 500 eligible licenses, migrate your data. To wrap things up, I'd like to let you know how you can reach us. If you have Microsoft 365 deployment questions, reach out to FastTrack at www.microsoft.com/fasttrack. For questions with Microsoft Edge, talk to a Microsoft expert at aka.ms/Microsoft Edge FastTrack. And for any compatibility questions, contact the Aperture team at aka.ms/Microsoft Edge Aperture. Wayne and I appreciate you taking the time to watch our video.
Thank you.